Hey guys, it's me again. Two things I want to do with this video. Number one is I want to show some discoveries that I've made that I consider to be, errors or inaccuracies in the film or on the purpose-built set, which we see right here. And I also want to talk about the idea that Paramount utilized Convair's flight simulator to film shots in the movie. First thing we're going to look at is the problems with the flight engineer station. They start right here with the canopy. The canopy, this is correct, but it's rounded from there, and then it starts being rounded again. And all these go rounded. They don't go up like that. Going up like that creates a serious problem, which we're going to look at really soon. Here we are. Okay. You can see that this beam, these are actually called longitudinal frames for the pilot's enclosure and or the canopy. In the real aircraft, they go down like that. So here's your problem you've got. Right here, this area that they've got swept down here, this lines up with the top of the sides of the flight deck and the auxiliary instrument panels, which reside right here. And they go like that. And then is when it goes up like that, about right there. This is about 1.2 feet tall. And then another problem that they have, which what they've tried to do is for the camera angle looking back at the flight engineer station, we'll see in a bit, they've tried to duplicate this, which is 1 foot tall, up here, which this is, 2.5 feet, 2 feet tall. Before I get too far into this, I want to remind everybody that Strategic Air Command was filmed utilizing real B-36 parts in a set made on the Paramount Studios backlots. They used parts from an early model B-36. However, the external shots, all of them, mind you, were utilized, an H model or a late model B-36, which is on the inside is completely different. Let's look at some of those differences really quick. The telltale difference is this console. On the late model, the console drops straight down. In some scenes, you can see where it curves inward. That would actually allow space for the flight engineer's feet. Here's a really good picture showing that curved area. It drops down, allowing room for the feet. Here's a really good comparison of the two areas we're looking at, which is right here. This area on the early model, these are out of scale. This should be about that far down, so it should be significantly longer. What they did on the late model is they moved this area, the communication panels, up here, and they put the A8 Honeywell autopilot controller, they put it back here. And they displaced a lot of these areas onto these side extensions. So basically they took a big chunk from back here, put it here, and moved this stuff to the side. But again, this is significantly longer than the late model, which you're accustomed to seeing in more museum pictures. So let's look at the biggest problem. Bear with me. Here we are. Okay. Shame on me that I did not notice this earlier in my B36 research adventure. I don't know what they were trying to do here. I don't know what this is supposed to be. But I do know that this area is the attempt to bring the base of the canopy almost 2 feet higher than what it's supposed to be. I assume they did this for more comfort for the actors because the ceiling would be directly over his head. Now let's look at that and now compare it to the real deal. As you can see, just over the top of this panel, these are the longitudinal frames for the canopy that tie into bulkhead 3.0, which lives right here. I'll show you bulkhead 3.0 in a later model, which is this yellow area right there. Notice how the lateral frames, they follow bulkhead 3. Now going over here, you see that there's no light here. I think that they've tried to somehow get away with this being bulkhead number 3, which should be way down here, because there's light over his head, which is in a real B36. There's no open panels right there. However, these last panels, which should be way down here, are transparent and allows light to pass through, which you can see right here. So what they've done is they've taken the entire canopy and raised it up about 2 feet. Now, let's look at the flight simulator. There's a claim that one of my buddies on the B36 interest group says that Paramount utilized this to film the movie. I humbly disagree with you. There's nothing here. Not even the errors that you can see Jimmy Stewart sitting here. It's simply not there. These are painted. In order for them to use these, they would have had to have blue screened these, painted them blue or green. I don't know if they were doing that in the early 50s or not. I'm not a film, expert. But if they made the mock-up, which you see in the film, why would they go through the trouble to utilize this, when this was probably, most likely, if not definitely, being used for actual pilots to learn how to fly the B-36? If you look right here, you can see that Astrodome mount, that is a late model Astrodome mount. Why this is an early model with this, again, slanted back of the console, why it's in here, I don't know. But there's 1, 2, 3 of these knobs that pushes pressure up on the Astrodome to hold it in there. If we can find it in the film, where they move from right here, where they move from the flight deck down to the radio operator's compartment, you can see, you have to take my word for it. I could show you an early model Astrodome, but these longer knobs are from an early model. So this Astrodome port is not that Astrodome port. They're two completely different animals. Anyways, that's just something I wanted to touch on. I'm not trying to make the film less enjoyable for anybody. I'm not trying to critique Paramount and say that they didn't do this right. They didn't. I know it's just a movie. I am very well aware of this. There's just certain folks who like to debate this stuff and talk about it. There are modelers who utilize this to, make models. And anybody who would stumble upon this and use it, it's obviously incorrect. This is obviously incorrect. Those are the people that I'm, gearing these videos to. If I'm ruining it for you, I'm sorry, but the facts speak first. I'll see y'all next time.